All right, everybody. Welcome everybody to mindworxforme.com. This is our Zoom. I don't know. We're just doing these Zoom meetings now. We've kind of dropped the podcasting because it's more fun to do it this way, I think. So,
It is.
yeah, but coming from West Des Moines, Iowa, and we are three consultants that work on the three principles. My name is Mitch Kunert, father of two and principal here in the district. And who else we got here with us today?
And I'm Melissa. I'm mother of two, and I'm a 7th grade language arts teacher in the district.
I'm Ben. I teach social studies. I coach golf, and I have a cat.
Yeah.
That's Kitty, everybody.
And Ben, really, nobody cares about you. They really want to know Kitty. So how's Kitty's day going?
He's great. I don't blame him. I'd rather see Kitty than me, too.
Well, we were deciding what we wanted to talk about today, and Melissa, you had some thoughts on that a little bit.
Yeah, when we texted each other this morning, and obviously we did a lot of planning, but I asked what we were going to talk about, and I know Ben mentioned talking about the ego and our belief systems, and I remember taking the applications class, but also the intro to three principles class from you two, and belief systems in my mind was connected a lot to empathy. So maybe you can explain to us a little bit what you talked about in your class, because I found it very helpful.
Sure. So what I love about this is that it's not ours, right? We steal it from everybody because it's the three principles. It's based on this guy, Sidney Banks, who came up with the three principles of mind, thought, and consciousness. And so, today we're talking about where do our thoughts originate? And one of the things that we always talk about in our class was about how a baby comes out of the womb, right? They are a clean slate. They are sweet and pure and innocent. And then eventually, they are led to believe a thought, as simple as that thought is, whatever it is. That's a tree. It's no longer this fascinating growing machine. It's called a tree, and that's what it is. From that, belief systems are created, right? And we always talk about in our class empathy. And empathy, you have to know somebody else's story before you can assume you know everything about them. And so it's really about where do those belief systems come from.
Yeah, and for us, like I said, those belief systems, we try to break you down to like the basics. So when we talk about that newly born baby, and we have to talk about it like kind of in that mode that it's cuddled and being put into the mother's arms at that moment in time, we try to use words to describe that. And we define that actually as like our default setting, our home setting. So words like peaceful, loved, and granted, there's always somebody in the class that throws out, yeah, but not all babies are happy at that point in time. And like, it's a pretty awful experience. It's like, yeah. But the point that we try to make there is that we do really all come from a place of pretty strong peace. And Ben, you used the word blank. I think it's a great word. And then from that moment on, we go through a growth spurt in the brain development there from 0 to sometimes 2 or 3. The brain's developing so quickly that we don't really have a lot of memories of that. So most people can't go pull back what they were doing when they were 1 year old. But beyond that, when we start comprehending and have long-term memory, that's what we're talking about. That's our belief system, and people program that into us. So whatever your surroundings are, if you live in China, you're probably going to learn Mandarin. If you grow up in the United States, you're probably going to learn the language of English. And it's amazing to me that as human beings, we have all these subtle differences that truly are programmed, So if you think of that, our brain as that programming, what can be programmed can be unprogrammed. And that's that neuroplasticity that you talk about.
Right. So, and when we, we use the baby analogy, and, this is what really connects us as human beings. We really are all the same. Nobody comes out of the womb with evil, right? Nobody is born evil. It is something that is eventually taught. So we use the example all the time in our class about people who are racist. Well, what's their story? What kind of a home did they grow up in? What kind of things were they taught? And when you begin to think along those lines, I think you become less, judgy and more understanding. And it doesn't excuse poor behavior. It's just a way to explain it. And that way you can have that understanding. And I think right now, with the coronavirus pandemic going on, there are so many belief systems that people have, across the spectrum. People not wearing a mask, people wearing a mask, but it just seems amazing to me how quick people are to judge others. And it doesn't mean, again, anything is right or wrong. I just think that we need to take a step back and try and understand other people's stories.
So as a language arts teacher, we talk about this a lot in class, about our perspective and our background experiences that we bring to stories or books that we're reading, and how we all interpret things differently because of, you know, maybe the family structure that we grew up in, maybe the town that we grew up in, etc. I remember when you were first talking about the ego and our belief systems getting in the way of how we read other people's experiences. The first thing that popped into my head was my first year teaching experience. And I taught at Hoover High School, and I was an English as a second language teacher, and I taught a lot of students whose families were refugees. And I came from a small town in Iowa, from Pella, and I had a pretty limited experience of different cultures and backgrounds. And my first year of teaching, I assumed that what I was doing in my class was very important, and I wasn't understanding why nobody was doing the homework. I rarely had anybody do the homework for my class, and it upset me. And I thought that they were being disrespectful to me and didn't think that what I was doing in class was important. I thought it was. I had a girl probably during my 4th or 5th week teaching that came up to me and said, "You know that a lot of the male students in your class work overnight shifts, right?" And I said, "No."
Yeah.
I've had no idea. They were working overnight shifts and then not even going to bed and coming to class. And I was expecting them to complete my homework at night. And that was a complete paradigm shift for me. I mean, talk about, you know, ego. I thought that what I was doing was important, and they were providing for their families. So when we talk about beliefs and ego, that's the first thing that came to mind. It's totally shifted my thoughts and my teaching, and also my perspective on the world and background, different cultures, everything. My experience isn't everybody's experience. So,
And it's in the absence of knowing. So from a teaching standpoint, you know everything about your students. If they don't turn in assignments, well, you know why. You know the story. You know they're lazy, they're not doing anything.
yes.
The more you think that, and the more certain you believe it, the stronger the ego is. And the fact of it is, and we know this from our experiences, there are times when we are clearly wrong. There are really tragic stories that we don't understand.
Right.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to disconnect from ego, because ego is you, right? I mean, you believe that your belief systems are correct, and you believe you've adopted them. And so, even when you think about relationships, really, ultimately, what you're searching for is someone that has a similar set of belief systems as you. Because if you don't, then the relationship will go like this, and it happens. It just happens naturally. So it's that
What's
belief systems that
about what you just said is that ego is not you. You think it's you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the importance of being the observer of your thoughts and recognizing that your thoughts are not you. And when we talk about belief systems, they are as simple as why you believe in the Iowa Hawkeyes or the Iowa State Cyclones, or Mitch, what's your shirt?
It's the national championship Wisconsin Badgers that was dedicated or found out by the ESPN poll.
And I have a funny feeling the reason why you like Wisconsin so much is because you're from Wisconsin. But then those political belief systems, you think about politics today and how somebody is so certain that they are right if they're on the right side, and the person who's on the left side is so certain that they're right. Well, part of it is they lack empathy. They lack understanding, how did that Republican senator or that Democrat senator, how did they get to the place they are in life thinking the way that they do? And when you begin to understand the other side of the story, you create a greater sense of empathy.
Yeah, so a tangible thing that I always take away from this is and I use it all the time now, is I'll be in a conversation that will be emotionally charged. It's emotionally charged because you said something that went against my belief system. Pause right at that moment, because right there, you had an emotion that kicked in. Try to analyze where that came from. Is it a belief system that I have that they're going against now? And then stop. Don't fire the smart aleck comment back or the inappropriate comment back. I try to stop at that moment and recognize that I now need to seek to understand, because if I want that relationship to continue, that's the moment right there that I have to pause and ask the question, tell me more, give me that baseline, give me that perspective. And a lot of times if you can do that, you're going to have a lot better conversations on Facebook. You're going to have a lot better conversations in person. It's a good building block.
Right, and it's about how you choose to think. And I think in those political heated debates, you know, one of the things that we take from all over, but Joel Osteen said it, the minister from I think the Lakewood Church in Texas, but he said the greatest sense of power is coming from a greater sense of peace. When you can have those discussions without letting your emotions get into it, that's powerful. And I think for the three of us, our understanding of the 3P has changed my life from where I was 15, 10, 5 years ago to where I am today in that understanding. And that's why the 3Ps are so important in our lives.
So I have a list of some Sid Banks quotes in front of me, and my eyes just went to this one, and it is speaking to me about ego. It says, in clearing our minds, we may have to give up something to receive something. And I think that a lot of times we have to give up the idea that we're right and that we don't have to be right necessarily in our relationships and in our discussion, whether it's about politics or educational system or whatever.
Well, and regardless of, it's interesting. Like, why do some people wear the masks? Why do some people not? Why are they so passionate about whether they are right or wrong? But what are they watching on TV? And there's so many different things that we're listening to and hearing, and it's changing day to day. My original thought about this pandemic is not the same as it was when we first learned about it a month ago. It has changed so much. And that's just in my own life, in my own thinking, let alone everybody else in their own thinking.
That's hilarious, because before you got on, Melissa and I were just talking, and I just said, it's so weird right now. Like I have no sense of normalcy, because my belief system was that you kind of have a schedule, you go to work and you do that. So when that all goes away, I guess you really start to analyze like what's important to you. I've really valued time. I'm cooking way more than I have in the past, whether it's for myself or my kids. It's just a weird time that you have to find your identity, right? You have to find what are those things that you do that make you happy to pass time when you don't have all of a sudden this 8 to 3 work schedule or 8 to 4 work schedule. It's kind of a unique time.
I agree with that, and things that I might have judged people for before, I'm doing some of the things that I was judging people for, like letting my bed later than they should. Or right now my son's down playing Fortnite, and guess what? He'll probably be playing Fortnite for the next 3 hours. Yeah. I wouldn't have let him do that a couple of months ago, but you know what? We had homeschool for 4 hours this morning. He's already done basketball, and there's really not much else to do. It's raining and I need some peace. So no more judgment. He's gonna play Fortnite.
Well, Ben, is there anything else you want to add to the belief system piece there?
There's too much to say. We do this because of the impact that it's had on our life, and we want to open this up to anybody who wants it. And it's just been such a great thing, the 3P community, that we're all sharing these ideas because we want people to embrace it. And as far as the belief systems, here's a great little lesson for you. Whoever your governor, senator, the president, whatever they're saying, if you don't agree with it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But try and understand where they are coming from. Why do they want to, open restaurants? Why do they want to, and just try and understand why. I think when we have that common understanding, it's going to make us a better people.
And one more thing, I think it's important that we try and seek out other people's perspectives. Ben, I know that you watch CNN, you also watch Fox News. I mean, I think sometimes it's important to step out of our comfort zone and to seek different opinions instead of
and here's what I've noticed.
Looking for validation of what our opinions are.
So think about Facebook. When somebody posts something on Facebook, it seems like most people agree with that person because that's their circle of friends, right? Regardless of what you say. And it just, confirms what you think to be true. Well, nobody says anything is the way it should be. Who's to say what anything should be? So I just think this is really interesting.
Well, and if you like something on Facebook, it automatically keeps showing you more of what you like.
Right.
And that's just how it works. So.
Well, and even I yesterday had the I had the girls over the weekend, and Adley for the first time. I know most of you guys have seen it. I posted that she rode a bike for the first time. I kind of worked at it. What I had to laugh, you know, Dad posts this picture, this video of her doing a whole U-shaped, you know, turnaround, comes back to me, and I'm doing it because I'm really happy and proud of her, you know. But then I realized after I posted it, oh, she doesn't have a helmet on. I'm going to hear that. You know, it was probably like the 5th comment down. Get a helmet on that kid. And it was like, you know, so it's like no matter where you put yourself, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, you never know there's going to be some comment, and they're not wrong. It's just right now that's not my focus. It's the celebration of the kid who learned how to pedal a bike, you know.
Yeah.
I'll get her a helmet later. I'll get her later.
Bad dad. No
Bad
helmet. Mom, too much Fortnite.
Yeah.
Are you a bad kitty dad, Ben?
Well, considering I don't know where she is now, I guess I am.
Kitty gets unlimited food. She can eat whenever she wants to, you know, whatever.
She is a little
you know,
fat.
and belief systems, right? So people might think that, you know, I'm mistreating my cat because I don't limit her food. She's getting big. I want her to enjoy life, but I am going to start toning it down.
All right, you guys. I think that brings us to the wrap of this one. Again, our content will always be hopefully coming out right on Wednesdays at 5. We'll be looking for our Mindworx minutes. Those will be, again, posted throughout the week as well. So Mindworx, www.mindworx4me.com website. Check that out. But also right now we're more active on our Facebook page. So find us on the Facebook page. Look for the little gray yellow head, and we'll be going from there. But you guys, as always, thank you for everything that you do and being wonderful. And we will talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.